Hi guys, I'd like to introduce you to today's guest. She's a beautiful young lady, full of life, with an inspiring story to share. Before I introduce my guest, I'd like to say to all those who have pressed life's pause button for whatever reason, as you listen to her story, I pray you will release that button, press play, and start living again. My guest is Simone. Simone, thank you for joining us today.
It's okay. Thanks for having me.
No, anytime. Now, Simone, I really just want to get into this testimony. You've got two amazing testimonies. They do link.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can just share both of them today, if that's all right with you.
Fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
To start with, 17, pregnant, and your dad's an ordained minister.
Correct.
Wow. What did he say?
Well, to be honest, I've got great parents. My dad wasn't a minister when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
He became a minister when I was around 14.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had a really good relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
Anything that I needed to speak about as a teenage girl, I would go to my dad over my mum.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not because my mum was overly strict and I couldn't tell her stuff.
Yeah.
I just felt more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
talking to my dad.
That's different.
Yeah,
Normally
definitely.
people run to mummy.
Yeah.
But you were going
almost
to dad.
Daddy, always.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, so I found out I was pregnant at the age of 17.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't actually tell my parents. I didn't tell anybody.
So, when did you tell them?
Well, I had 4 days before I had my daughter, my family found out.
So, you went through the whole of a pregnancy.
9 months.
And you're saying your dad or your mum didn't know?
They had no idea. So, my daughter's dad decided, for whatever reason, he didn't want to be involved. I explained to him I was pregnant, and this is the process that I was going to go through, have a baby. And he was just like, I don't want anything to do with the child, so fine.
Were you dating for a while before that?
We'd been together. We can call it dating, but we were kids. I was with him from the age of 14.
Okay, so 14 to 17.
14 to 17, it's a long time. We did have plans to go to the army together and, live in barracks. And we had all these teenage dreams, but obviously nature would have it that it didn't go that way, which is fine. But because he kind of shut me out and shut me down, I shut off to everything. I was just like, oh, okay, then I need to do this on my own. And I took that literally. That meant my family are shut out. It's just me and my baby.
So he shut you down, that's how you felt?
Yeah.
And then you shut the world out?
Yeah.
And you hid this pregnancy?
I hid it. And
how? I still bump,
I did have a bump. But my auntie was getting rid of some clothes. Do you remember like the sweatshop jumpers, United Colours of Benetton, and all those sweatshirts? My auntie was getting rid of them because obviously they were out of date. So I was like, Auntie, can I have your tops? She was like, you're a size 10. I'm a size 16. My stuff are not going to fit you. I was like, it's okay. I'll just lounge about the house in them. But lounging about the house was me wearing those jumpers every single day for 9 months.
What about morning sickness?
I was sick all pregnancy, actually. So from the moment I found out, I was constantly throwing up. I didn't really have an appetite, and I had a permanent migraine. So literally, I had a migraine every single day. I went to hospital a few times. They asked me, "Are you pregnant?" I said no.
Yeah. Were your parents there?
My parents were there. Every hospital trip, my parents were there. Yeah. And I even now I can't fathom how the hospital allowed me to come in there. They've asked me if I'm pregnant, but there was never any urine sample done or anything like that.
Yeah.
At one point, I did end up staying in the hospital for 3 days because I was really ill. And I ended up on the maternity ward.
Any parents?
But they didn't think anything of it because I hadn't told them I was pregnant. The hospital hadn't said to them, oh, your daughter's pregnant. Like nothing. So I was able to continue with my little secret.
So I know you said that you were having migraines. When I have migraines, I am sick and I do vomit.
Yeah.
Is that why you could disguise the morning sickness?
Partly. My auntie did take me to a Chinese herbalist because she was like, oh, these migraines aren't right. You've had a permanent one for all these months. Yeah. All these different things. I went to church. I had prayer.
For the migraines?
For the migraines. Not for my baby that was coming.
Yeah.
And ironically, my dad had a dream when I was about 8 months pregnant. He only told me after I had my daughter, but he dreamt that I had a baby lying across my stomach.
And he still
didn't ask me because in his head, we have that relationship. I tell my dad everything.
Okay.
And because I didn't say anything to him, he was like, that dream must mean something else.
Oh, so they were kind of confident that if you were pregnant,
yes,
you would have told them.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's no way you could be pregnant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow. So I'm just trying to work this all out in my head. Labour, bringing the baby home. How are we going to work that all out?
Okay, so in my mind, I had a little cupboard on my bedroom wall. I had a single bed, and then above it there was a little cupboard. And I don't know if my thoughts were warped. I thought, I'm going to have this baby, I'm going to give birth to myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would have to cut the umbilical cord. I even looked up how to cut an umbilical cord.
So wait a minute, you've worked this all out in your mind?
Yeah.
You're going to cut the umbilical cord, you've got this cupboard.
And I'm just going to let her sleep in there. Like, she's a tiny baby, she'll be fine. That was my thought.
And at no point did you think, I need to tell Mum and I need to tell Dad?
No, I did tell. Later down into the pregnancy, I did tell 2 friends. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really see the fact that I needed help. Mm-hmm. They just were like, oh, okay, you're having a baby.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're all 17, we're all going to college. They stopped going to college, they were coming to mine every day because I was sick. Yeah. So they're sitting with me every day. Yeah. Like putting waffles and pizza in the oven. I'm like, Sim, do you want some? No, thanks. So they're eating, enjoying. They got in trouble by their parents.
For not
telling.
So you got your friends in trouble?
Yeah, I didn't get in trouble, but they got in trouble. So if we backtrack a bit, you asked about how did I think the labour was going to go, or how did it actually go?
How did you think? I was just trying to work it.
I just thought that I could just have this baby and I'd be fine. That's what I thought. And I didn't know what my parents were going to say because she would have been in the cupboard, like my little hidden baby, my little teddy bear, I guess.
Yeah. So you've actually done research, you said?
Oh, yeah, I did.
How to cut the umbilical cord, baby in the cupboard, Bob's your uncle.
And I was like, oh, I don't really need a bottle because, I can breastfeed her. Like, I had all these little thoughts in my head which didn't make any sense whatsoever. When you try and piece it together, it's just very higgledy-piggledy. Yeah, yeah. But what actually happened was my auntie wanted to cheer me up, the same auntie who got the jumpers off. And she bought me some clothes from Next to Nothing. Remember that shop? Yeah. So she bought me these really nice outfits. She's like, oh, come on, Sim, try them on. I said, I'll try them on later. She's like, new clothes and you don't want to try them on? I was like, oh, I'm just not in the mood. I'll try them on later. So she's like, no, you can try them on now. So I've gone upstairs, undressed. I'm like, oh my God, I hope nobody comes in. Yeah. Because I've got that pregnancy line. So lo and behold, my auntie walks in and she's like, come on, let me help you get these clothes on. I was like, they're too small. She goes, how can they be too small? You've lost weight. So at the beginning of my pregnancy, I was a size 10. I was probably a borderline size 6 towards closer end of the pregnancy. Wow. Yeah, because I just couldn't keep anything down. Yeah, yeah. And I think stress as well. Yeah. Subconscious stress. So she was like, they have to fit. I don't understand. She's like, take the top off. Let me have a look at the size. I might have got the size wrong. As I've taken the top off, she's seen the line down my stomach. And that was a giveaway. And I knew that she'd seen it because I was standing in the mirror. Yeah. She was behind me. And her face, the way it changed, I was just like, oh, she knows. So she shouted my mum. Yeah. She's like, come upstairs. I need to talk to you. And then they're whispering outside the door. Then my mum's coming. She's like, have you got anything to tell us? Yeah. I said, no. She's like, Simone, have you got anything to tell us? I said, no.
So you're still saying no?
Yeah. I was just still like adamant, like, oh, I need to keep up with this lie now. Yeah. And then my auntie was like, Simone, are you pregnant? And I just broke down. Oh. So at that moment, it was like a realization then, like, this is actually happening. And this what you were planning on doing didn't make any sense. So they've called my dad. My dad's like, why didn't you say? Oh. Did you get in trouble? I didn't get in trouble. They just loved on you. They just loved me. Like, literally, my auntie put me in the bath. I was sitting in the bath, so I'd be like, and she's washing me. Yeah. And then they've called the rest of the family because we were a close-knit family, so they were all like, I don't understand why you didn't say something to somebody. Yeah. And it was literally not because of my family, because they're perfect. Well, not perfect, no one's perfect, but you know what I mean? They were a good family. Yeah. I was born into a good family. But the rejection from her father made me introvert. And that's why I felt like I couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
So after my parents found out, family found out, this was on a Thursday evening. Friday, I went to the doctor's, and my doctor told me off.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Saturday, I didn't see my parents all day because they were out getting all this stuff for the baby because I had nothing. I didn't buy anything for her.
So this is why I'm trying to work out where you. I know you were 17, but
my mind
what about the clothes?
No, nothing. She had nothing. Nothing. I don't know if I thought it was going to be like a Mr. Bean episode. I don't know if you've seen the one where he's cut the teddy bear. He needed a nappy for the baby. But I just had nothing for her.
Yeah.
So they went out, went to IKEA. I remember they bought her a changing station, bath, cot, flannels, everything a baby needs.
Yeah.
They went out and bought it. My mum had just started a new job.
Yeah.
She'd been there 2 weeks, and they were like, "Oh, this is what you're dealing with."
Yeah.
So they did a whip round and bought her a car seat. It was really nice, actually. Like all my mum's friends and my dad's friends came. They kept bringing stuff.
Yeah.
I think she probably had more stuff than she would have if it was a pregnancy that everyone knew about.
Yeah.
I think it was just like, oh my God, this kid's got nothing.
Yeah.
So that was the Saturday. Sunday, my parents went to church.
See, I thought, talking about church, I thought you didn't tell your dad because of the repercussions of church and being backbenched and things like that.
No, well, I didn't, I wasn't in church then. I grew up going to church when my parents went, but I kind of avoided church sometimes on a weekend at that point. Not because I was pregnant, just because of my age, I think, and having a boyfriend, and I just didn't want to have a grey life. It's black or white, isn't it?
In or out,
yeah. Okay. So I just wasn't really attending. But I did feel like it would have implications on my parents' ministry, and lo and behold, it did. So when they went to church on Sunday, they were my little brothers were stripped of their choir duties.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were little, and my dad was basically asked to step down, even though he was unaware of anything.
Wow, that is so sad.
Yeah, it was sad. It was sad, but we've got our own church now. So
yeah.
It is what it is. It's old school church, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Sunday they went to church, and that happened with my parents. Monday, I just had a normal day. I didn't have any appointments or anything. And then Tuesday was the day I gave birth. So they found out Thursday, Tuesday I had her.
Wow. See, I think you said you went for a normal hospital appointment, your first antenatal appointment.
Correct.
And they kind of said, look, you're having the baby now.
Yeah, so basically what happened was they took my blood pressure. Or before they did that, actually, I had a scan. They're like, oh, we're really sorry, we can't tell you what sex your baby is because she's way too big.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know she's a girl now, so I can say she. But at the time, they were like, oh, baby's folded up, we can't see the sex. So when she comes, well, when he or her comes, then you'll know what. I was like, okay, cool. But everything's just still so surreal because it's just a short space of time. It's less than a week. Everything happened. Then I've gone downstairs and they've taken my blood pressure. They were like, we can't believe you're not in a coma.
Wow. Because
my blood pressure was like preeclamptic levels.
Yeah.
And then they did an internal examination and determined that they could start me off. It was time for her to be here. I did not go to hospital on Tuesday to have this child.
So can I just check? You've had no antenatal classes, no doctor classes, nothing. You just got this appointment and
then
they've said you've got to have basically have her today.
And I went to the hospital that day with my dad and the auntie with the sweatshirts.
Yeah.
And they've had to call my mum. Obviously, I said to you, she started her job 2 weeks previous, so she couldn't get out of work straight away. They induced me, and my dad was there, you know, holding my hand. My auntie was there, rubbing my back. They were like, you can make a sound, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Like, labour is painful. But I was silent. I was silent, and I rubbed my feet together. I was just rubbing my feet like this. And my auntie reckons that I was silent to punish myself. I don't think I was. I think it's because I could hear the other mums in the other room. I was just like, do you need to make that? It's going to hurt regardless. There's no point in making all that noise. But my mum made it before she was born.
Yeah, okay.
And she got to see her come into the world, which was lovely. I had her at 7:37. I remember because I wanted to watch EastEnders. So they induced me. They started me off at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I was like, please, God, just let this baby come before EastEnders because it's a juicy episode
Was
tonight.
it one of those cliffhangers?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a duff moment. And she came before EastEnders.
Wow.
I was able to watch it. Oh, priorities.
Yep. Wow. So mum and dad's there, yeah? And you've got this new addition. You bring home and you do not put her in the cupboard.
No. She had a cot and a Moses basket and everything else that she needed. She didn't go into the cupboard.
Wow. You know what stands out the most? How loving your family are.
They're amazing.
How your dad, regardless, he loves you. This is my daughter. And your mum as well. Rushing off to get all those stuff for the baby, you know, before baby's born. It wasn't a case of chastising you.
No.
They just loved on you, and that's what I get from this part of the testimony. Now, the second part of the testimony, like I said, it kind of connects these migraines.
Yeah.
You said throughout your pregnancy you were having a lot of migraines, so just take us through that.
So throughout my pregnancy, it was literally a 9-month-long migraine. Some days I was able to function more than others, but you know what migraines are like? Loud sounds, smells, everything, they affect you. So after giving birth to my daughter, they were like, we don't know how your migraines are going to present. You probably had them for 9 months because it was hormonal.
Yeah.
So afterwards, I was still getting them. Not every day, but I'd have like clusters. So I'd have a migraine for 3 days and then be okay for 4. But then towards the end of 2015, I literally had to give up work. I was a teaching assistant in a special school. And I had so many days off that the head teacher was like...
Because of the migraines?
Yeah. Okay. We're going to have to let you go. They're proper debilitating, like they paralysed my right side, can't chew, I slur my words, really bad, and they've just got progressively worse over the years, so I had to give up work in 2015. But I'd say the beginning of 2018, I had a particularly bad migraine, and I went to A&E for it. I thought they could give me like some breakthrough medication or something. But they did a head scan and then sent me home. So sent me home. But 4 weeks later, they called me back and sent me to the oncology department. I'd gone with my dad again because I go everywhere with my dad. I said, Dad, oncology, isn't that the cancer department of the hospital? And he was like, yeah, it is, but maybe they've sent you there because that's where the migraine clinic is. So I was like, oh, all right then. But it still didn't sit right with me.
So you had an oncology letter, is that what you're saying, with an appointment? And Dad thought it was where the
migraine clinic was. So I was like, oh, I still don't think that's the case, but okay, we'll go with that because you guide me most of the time, you know what to say. So I sat down and I can see all these really ill people. So I'm getting scared. So then we've gone into the room and the doctor said to me, do you know why you're here? I said, well, I thought I was here for a migraine appointment, but clearly I'm not because you're asking me, do I know why I'm here? So he was like, well, we've had an in-depth look at your scan that we did of your head when you came in 4 weeks ago. And you've got some lesions on your skull, which is like soft spots of the bone. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? He was like, well, it could be one of 3 things. It could be you've had cancer and it's spread to the bone after it's been in the first place it was. It's cancer specifically to your blood and bone, or a condition called sarcoidosis, which affects your internal organs and your skin and stuff. Kind of similar to lupus, but kind of similar. There's no treatment for it. So they've taken some bloods and whatever, and then it was determined that I had myeloma, which is a type of blood cancer. So
Wow. So you're sitting in the clinic, the doctors told you myeloma. Dad, what does Dad say?
Well, he didn't come into the room with me. I said to him, wait outside. I'm very much like that. If I have to see a consultant, I like to go in, see them, process it, and then relay the information back to my family. So he was waiting outside. So I've come out. I'm thinking I'm looking like a deer in headlights. He's like, you okay? I said, well, I don't think I'm okay because there's something wrong with me, but I don't know what it is. So the blood test, as I said, had them done that day. And then about a week later, they were like, it's myeloma. That's where the soft spots in your skull have come from. We need to do a full body an MRI of your whole body to see how bad the holes in your bones are. So I've literally got holes in all of my bones. Wow. I broke ribs and didn't realise. I just thought I had a pulled muscle.
Yeah.
Holes in my legs, holes in my arms, skull, as I've said, but they're not holes, they're soft spots.
Yeah.
But when the consultant said that to me, I did say to him, I said, I'm not ill. There's nothing wrong with me in terms of my skull. I'm growing a unicorn horn because I like unicorns. That's what I said. So he thought I was, again, they thought I was unstable. Yeah. Called the nurse, and that was that. So yeah, moving forward, had all the testing done, had a bone marrow biopsy, which was a nightmare. It's awful. And then I went through treatment. So I started treatment. I found out in April for definite, and then this is 2018, and then July I started chemo, and I only had it for 3 months. I was supposed to have it for 6, but it really affected my body really badly. I had to learn to walk again and everything, using a Zimmer frame, having physio, had to have occupational therapy aids at home and all that stuff. And then I had a stem cell transplant the following year, so the February 2019 I had that. And then
what was the prognosis? Obviously, they told you the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Did they give you a prognosis?
So they said it was an incurable cancer.
Okay.
And most people only live around 5 years.
Wow.
But I didn't buy into that.
Did they tell you at the initial or
no,
later on?
They told me. So I went for my initial appointment in April, and I found out in May that it definitely was myeloma, and it's a 5-year life expectancy.
Wow.
Plus, that cancer usually only affects people over the age of 60. So I'm in a 1% minority having it at this age.
Yeah.
So there was no information for me to draw from or anybody to relate to. So I started my own Instagram for people that are younger that have myeloma. But so they told me 5 years. So after I've gone through my stem cell treatment, which was in February 2019, they then said I would have to have maintenance chemo for the rest of my life after the 100th day of having the stem cell.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I haven't had any maintenance. I haven't had any. They said they wanted to wait for a bit to see how my body responded to the stem cell treatment. We're in 2021 now. And obviously because of the pandemic, I wasn't really having my blood tests as regularly. So the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to see my consultants? How they're going to test me, whatever. But November last year, they took some bloods and then they called me in January. Look how long, usually you wouldn't wait that long for your bloods, but in January they then told me that I'm cancer-free.
Sorry?
I'm cancer-free.
So what about this 5-year prognosis?
So there's no trace of cancer in my system.
Wow.
And what they've said is basically because my body's responded so well, it's highly unlikely that the 5-year prognosis that they gave me stands.
Isn't God good?
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Did you know God as a healer before that?
Yes, I did. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm in this position now. If it wasn't for all the prayers, if it wasn't for the love, and it wasn't for my own positive mental attitude, I think I would be in that 5-year category.
Yeah.
But I don't see it that way. I know God is a healer. I know He's taken me from those dark places where I was to where I am now. And even with the whole migraine situation, since having my treatment and my stem cells and stuff, I haven't had as many.
Wow.
I haven't had as many. I still suffer with them, and when I do get them, they are really bad. But God has brought me to this point. Do you know what I mean?
Amen.
Yeah.
Another bit of good news that I was excited about is that you've recently got engaged.
I have.
And you said, though, you started dating just at the beginning of your diagnosis.
Yeah, so we started talking the December 2017. Yeah. And then we decided to make things official at the end of January, close to his birthday. And then April, I found out this. So I was like, you don't have to stay with me, you know. This is too much. We've only been together a short period of time. Like, you can go and live your life. You don't want to be stuck with somebody that's only living for 5 years. That was my thought process. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, we're together now. This is it. I'm in it for the long haul. but he's in it for longer than 5 years.
Oh, wow. So have you got a date set?
I have. It's the 2nd of August this year. Fingers crossed that Big Boris lets us do what we need to do. But either way, if it's just us two and the minister, which will probably be one of our parents because they're all ministers, then we'll still get married regardless.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what? God is so good. Just listening to your story, how you took you through your pregnancy, you know, you got a healthy daughter, your family supported you, and then through your illness, and then you've got your fiancé here, who, you know, stood right beside you all the way through your illness as well. Girl, you are blessed.
Thank you.
Wow, God is just amazing.
I really know. I know I'm blessed. I know I'm blessed. I didn't tell you this, but during the pandemic, so the first lockdown, I couldn't move my right arm at all, and I couldn't turn my head. So I spoke to my physio about my legs because of the cancer, the previous diagnosis. And he was like, that doesn't sound right. Can you please go to A&E? I didn't go straight away. I was just like, you know, it's just like a pulled muscle or something. It can't be anything serious. Anyway, long and short is, I had a bulging of my spinal cord between my discs. Yeah. So I was on the verge of paralysis.
Wow.
Yeah. And they said, we need to operate straight away. So they found out this in the May last year. By the June, they'd cut my throat and taken one of my discs out. So I've got a disc missing in my spine to alleviate that. But what they said was I wouldn't speak again. I wouldn't sing, because I sing on the worship team at my church. God. But look, I'm still speaking, so I know I'm blessed. Yeah. It doesn't matter what's thrown at me. Yeah. God's always got me.
Wow. And are you singing on the worship team
I am.
still? Oh my God, how amazing.
I am.
How amazing.
I am, yeah.
You're just full of amazing testimonies.
Thank
you. Know, and like I said, you are just blessed. You're just a walking, talking blessing. As I end the show, I always like to end it with the guest. So I'm going to use 3 words. And using these 3 words, I'd like you just to express anything that God has laid on your heart.
Okay.
So the first word I'd like to give you is life.
Life. I'd say to anybody, just live life to the fullest. It doesn't matter what your situation looks like or how bleak you think it is. There's always a blessing in something, even in the smallest thing. Yeah. Like, there could be a time where you might feel like you haven't got any money. But you can bless somebody and you can bless yourself outside of finance. There's always something. Just live life to the fullest.
Amen.
Yeah.
Faith?
Faith. Draw on your faith. If you have a connection with God already, push into it more. Yeah. If you don't have faith yet, find one. Find God, like find Jesus.
Yeah. Amen.
Find Jesus. But what works for you, you know, like just be faithful in everything you do as well, in terms of your natural life. Be an example to other people when you're walking and talking and doing whatever.
And finally, hope.
Hope. Well, I pin all my hope on Jesus. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be here sitting down talking to you today. So it's just pinning your hope on God. Just pin your hope on God.
Amen. Yeah. Wow. I have so enjoyed talking to you today. It's just been a blessing. Thank you for coming and sharing your testimony with us.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
Guys, I'd like to thank you also for joining us today on The Rosemary Show. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. See you next week. Bye.